Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to the next part of our Leap Texas webinar series. We're very glad to have a couple of great presenters today, Jessica Egan, Michelle McGrath from Bay Path University, doing their presentation today that they would have been doing at the 7th Annual Leap Texas Conference before we unfortunately had to cancel that event, but we are grateful that they were willing to share their ideas and their knowledge with us through the form of this webinar. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our presenters. I do encourage you all to use the chat function if you have any questions. I'll be monitoring that throughout the presentation, and I know that they will be glad to answer any questions that you might have. So with that, I hand it off to y'all.
All right, welcome everyone. I just wanted to start with a brief introduction. Michelle and I are going to be the presenters today. There were 4 names in our presentation because 4 of us contributed, but it'll just be the 2 of us taking the lead this afternoon. So I'm the Director of Instructional Design and Faculty Development at the American Women's College with Bay Path University. And I oversee course development, course design, instructional technology, and also faculty development. So faculty training, onboarding, and faculty support are all in my wheelhouse.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle McGrath, and I am the Senior Academic Program Director for the Psychology Program at the American Women's College. And in my role, I oversee about 30 adjunct faculty and 6 different degree tracks for the psychology program. And I'm also a member of our faculty development committee. So faculty development is definitely a significant part of my role.
And just to get us started, I wanted to share a couple of our goals for this session. We'd like to talk a little bit about some of the challenges remote faculty face, not only at our institution, but across the globe and the higher education landscape right now. We'd also like to run through some important elements of online faculty training and onboarding and some best practices that we've arrived at over the past few years, and also some tools and strategies that we've developed here at the American Women's College. So starting with, the why behind this presentation, we've found in research that more and more courses are moving online, and we prepared this presentation well before COVID happened. So I'm sure that a lot of the statistics will be even more enforcing of some of the principles that we've included in this presentation. We have learned that overall there's about 57% of faculty right now are at least part-time or full-time, so not on the tenure track. And here at the American Women's College, we actually have 93% of our courses are taught by part-time adjunct faculty. We found this graph to be very informative, and you'll see at the top the last data publication was 2015, so it'd be very interesting to see how these graphs may have morphed into different visuals over the past 5 or so years, and especially in the past 3 months. You'll see that the number of tenured faculty has gone down slightly, but the amount of non-tenured faculty in our end has shot up to 40%. You'll see graduate student employees are somewhat in flux, but it does seem to be a trend to have a downward offering of tenure positions.
So to begin, we wanted to go over our institutional context to give you an idea of who we are. So the American Women's College is a division of Bay Path University. We currently offer 32 bachelor's degrees and about 8 certificates. We started off as a one-day program offering adults, women, the opportunity to return to school on Saturdays, taking 5-hour courses in an accelerated format. And then in 2011, we launched our online courses. And since then, that has really taken off, specifically for our student population, because we serve non-traditional students. The flexibility of the online format has really worked well for our students. So we still continue to offer hybrid courses on Saturday, but currently about 90% of our credits are taken online. As I mentioned, we do operate in an accelerated format. So we have 6-week courses, and we offer 6 sessions per year. And students can take up to 2 courses per session. You'll hear us talk about adaptive courses or our adaptive platform throughout the presentation. About 25% of our catalog is offered in the adaptive platform, and so that, of course, is part of our faculty training and development. Currently, we have about 1,600 adult women in our student body. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that we do operate from a standardized course model. And this is important to mention because you'll see that our faculty aren't necessarily responsible for developing the curriculum, but we really focus their training and development on ways in which they can enhance their virtual classroom through various methods of engagement, student support, and building community. Next slide, Jess. So this is just an organization chart of our academic team. Can you go back? Sorry. Just to give you an idea, so when we're talking about faculty development, these are kind of the main players that we're discussing. We have a Deputy Chief Learning Officer who oversees the academic team. We have a group of academic program directors who oversee the different disciplines. And then we have some full and part-time senior lead faculty, and then our adjuncts. So you'll notice that each program has a different amount of adjunct faculty in their program. So it really depends on the size of the program. So for example, for psychology, ours is one of the bigger programs. So we have close to 30, whereas some of the other programs might be smaller. Next slide. And then to break it down further, this is a summary from our 2018-2019 academic year in terms of teaching loads. So as I mentioned, we have 8 full-time academic program directors, and each of the program directors are required to teach 2 courses per year. And again, as I mentioned, we have the accelerated format, so we have 6 different sessions that they can choose from in terms of when they teach. We also, 2 of the programs have 2 full-time lead faculty members, and these individuals teach 2 courses per session for a total of 12 courses per academic year. We have 2 programs that have 2 part-time lead faculty members, and they teach 1 course per year for a total of 6 courses. And we have a total of about 213 part-time remote adjunct faculty. And we do have a cap in terms of how many courses they can teach per year, and that is a total of 6 per year. In the 2018-2019 academic year, we had a total of 605 online sections run. Next slide. So this is just kind of a diagram to show you what the competencies that we use as kind of the foundation for our training and evaluation of our faculty. And one of the challenges that we have found is that a lot of our adjuncts have taught or are teaching at other institutions, and therefore they are accustomed to a variety of different expectations and best practices based on that institutional's policy. So what we really try to do is make it very clear from the very beginning, even during the interviews, talking through what our expectations are for faculty and the supports that we have in place for them. And that's carried out through into their orientation, once they start teaching, and then through the evaluation process. So there's kind of 3 main domains that we focus on in terms of the competencies. The first is student engagement and teaching practices. This area is really focused on getting the faculty to demonstrate their knowledge of the subject matter, engaging with the students. And they can do this through their discussion participation, grading and feedback, announcements, use of technology, the student support, focusing on, we have an early alert tool embedded in our learning management system, making sure that they're responsive to students, developing professional rapport and respect within their online community, connecting the students to the various support services we have in place, and demonstrating respect. And then lastly, policies and procedures. So making sure that they adhere to and complete late and attendance policies, following our academic integrity protocol, and utilizing the course feedback form that we use to collect feedback and recommendations from our faculty on the curriculum development portion. Next slide. This is a diagram showing the various members of our faculty development committee. The American Women's College really values our faculty, and we recognize the importance that they play in our programs overall. We are responsible for developing the curriculum, but they take it to that next level and really enhance the learning experience for our students. So we make sure that we put the time and energy into supporting their development. The reason these individuals were selected for the Faculty Development Committee were because they represent the various departments who are responsible for interacting with our adjuncts the most. So the Deputy Chief Learning Officer, we have myself and another program director representing the academic team. We have our adjunct hiring manager representing human resources, and then we have Jess, Director of Instructional Design and Faculty Development, representing our instructional design team, as well as IT and tech support. Next slide. This is a model that we developed as a team, kind of based off of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to represent each of the domains that we really focus on when we are thinking about the different areas that our faculty need support and development. Starting from the bottom, we have onboarding and orientation, and then the next tier is access to support services. So making sure that our faculty not only know what's available to both them and the students, but it's easily accessible. So we're always looking at ways that we can embed resources within our LMS, improve our communication, and improve our trainings. Communication, or community and collaboration, is another really important area that we focus on, because we want to make sure that our faculty feel supported. We want to address any issues related to feeling like they're isolated. And a lot of our faculty have talked about how they really desire the opportunity to connect with their peers to share best practices. Evaluation and recognition, professional development, and leadership. So in this presentation, we're going to go through each tier and share different strategies and techniques that we've developed over time to address each of these domains. Next slide.
All right, and starting with the beginning of the life cycle for our adjuncts, we have our onboarding and orientation. We do have a couple required elements for our adjuncts, which I find unique, and please feel free to share your current model or training approaches in the chat. We would love to hear some of the things that you have cooking at your institutions as well. First, we require a training course, which we call Soul Connect for Educators. And SOUL comes from Social Online Universal Learning, and it's really our model for the dovetail between departments to ensure there's both student and faculty support as much as possible. We also pair new faculty with a mentor. Michelle mentioned that we do have some ongoing faculty members that have leadership positions, so we rely on them to guide some of our newer faculty and provide that frontline support for any questions they might have. We do have a standard evaluation that comes after their first class. So all adjuncts are given the same competencies and the same understanding of the rubric and what their expectations are. We do have a section of the rubric for exceeding expectations because we do have a lot of adjuncts that want to provide the most enriching experience possible, and they seek to go above and beyond the expectations that we lay out for them. We also have program director outreach. So each program is unique and has its own flavor. And each program director has their cohort in which they'll either hop on a webinar to run through key concepts or send an email with specific areas of the course if it's been redesigned or changed. As Michelle mentioned, we also have the curriculum feedback form. So this is often mentioned in the initial email saying, you know, as you get into your course, please let us know if you see anything that could be improved, anything broken, like a broken link, but also any recommendations for making an assignment stronger or really solid supplemental materials that we could be adding to our courses. We definitely solicit that information as much as possible. And we provide advanced access to the content. So at a traditional university, when I started teaching, I was given a link to a blank LMS and either a syllabus or a textbook, and I was on my way. Here at the American Women's College, we share a full course constructed by a project team consisting of a subject matter expert, instructional designer, and program director. And then instructors are given several weeks to prepare their own customization for the course. So this could be in the form of mini lectures, videos, screen capture, white papers, announcements, articles, really however your teaching style best fits the content. You have the ability to create and get feedback prior to the course launching. And this visual shows somewhat of the process for the faculty early alert. We do recommend that faculty provide outreach for any students that are struggling or absent from courses in the first few weeks. And there's a form embedded in every course for them to alert the advising team. And the advising team provides additional outreach to try and get students on track based on that first week of analytics. Next, we wanted to highlight some of the support services that we provide to our faculty. All the way to the right, you'll see somewhat of a screen capture of the left navigation of one of our faculty resource sites. This includes the course feedback form where they're able to share any feedback, whether it comes from themselves or perhaps students are asking questions. It's another avenue for them to relay student feedback up to program directors and instructional designers. We also house training information here for our adaptive platform, and we have our academic calendar, our policies, our institutional expectations, and then also the adjunct expectations, all housed in the same spot for ease of access. And then on the left, you'll see a screen grab of our faculty early alert. So this is a Google form that is mostly auto-generated for information, but you'll see there's a drop-down right here, the reason for concern. And there's a few different options. Either the student has never logged in or is performing poorly or perhaps shared that they're off track. There's a couple different ways to approach. So giving that context to the advising team has been helpful for their interventions as well. We also have accessibility services where we will reach out to instructors at the beginning of each session and let them know if there are any students with documented disabilities in their classroom. The instructional design team sets up anything required in terms of accessibility. So we go in and we'll add additional time on quizzes and we'll customize the number of attempts on summative tests and make sure any accommodation that's required is set up on behalf of the instructor and that they know their room for flexibility for working with these students. We also have the academic support, so the academic program directors rally behind their adjuncts. I did mention their outreach and very, very much an open door policy here. I think at one point they even had their phone numbers in all of the courses just to be reachable. Our advising team is very much embedded with the ways that faculty can help students and how they can reach students. Yes, we'd be happy to share the curriculum feedback form as well. And another note on the curriculum feedback form that's cool is that it's a Google Sheet as well. We're very much into the Google Suite here at the American Women's College. It feeds into an Excel spreadsheet. So you're able to sort it by course, by instructor, by issue. So when we go to redesign a course, we look at that as a really strong data point of things that instructors are saying. So we're able to use it in a very proactive way, but also a reactive way if anything comes up, like a broken leg. Our library is also a service for our adjuncts where we can check out ebooks and look up movies and free resources, ebooks. They're really always willing to help our instructors. And then IT support, this is another Google Sheet. What we do for them is we have them tag all of the issues that come in by course code and whatever was wrong. For example, adaptive learning could be a tag. And then we're able to collate all of that feedback and share it back, saying, 15 instructors were having issues with logging into this one platform. Perhaps we need stronger instructions, or maybe we lean on them for a suggestion to make something that's technical more enhanced in the course. So one challenge in the higher education landscape is that online adjuncts often feel isolated and removed from the university community. And I'm sure this is more so with COVID now that everyone is really hunkering down at their house. These are a couple strategies that we've been running with for several years now. So regardless of the format of your curriculum, there could be something that you take away from this. We do have small targeted webinars with groups of the American Women's College. And this could be very informal where, for example, on Monday mornings, we have a how's it going, bring your cup of coffee chat, where folks just log in and informally share how their weekend was. We also have more academically focused webinars on getting prepared for the adaptive platform and any curricular or content changes that adjuncts should be aware of. For example, how our labs work and what the adjunct expectations are for that. We do have university-wide newsletters that highlight best practices, scholarship, awards, anything really that our adjuncts achieve, we like to highlight in a public format. When we see many feedback points coming in from an adjunct on the curriculum feedback side, we do like to tap them as subject matter experts. So these are additional compensation opportunities contractually to redesign a course from the ground up. And it's been a really good experience for a lot of our adjuncts to be able to filter their experience and the student feedback into really meaningful changes for the course. And there are often times that multiple adjuncts will jump on and design the course as a small group. We also have a faculty Facebook group that is new as of just a couple weeks ago. It's just for Bay Path University adjuncts, and it's a good place to share informally, the free yoga session or two that everyone's seeming to want to share from a wellness perspective, but also things like this webinar we put on there, and we invited our adjuncts to join us because we think their voice is important wherever we go. We couldn't do our work without them. And lastly, we are a tight-knit group here at the American Women's College. We try to give back to the community in as many ways as we can. We're located in Western Massachusetts. Our building is in the Springfield location. Our campus is in Longmeadow, Massachusetts. So we do have adjuncts all over the country, and it's hard to get together and do a community service sort of project. So there have been ideas such as pairing with an elderly in your neighborhood to help with gardening and spring cleaning. Also, we've donated monetarily for Christmas presents for less fortunate families in our area. We've also donated gift cards and groceries and resources to different families in need in our area as well. So it's very much a family feel here at the American Women's College.
And that's a perfect segue, Jess, into this next section on faculty awards and recognition. As I mentioned earlier, our team of adjuncts are very valuable members to our community, and so we really strive to make sure that they feel that they're not just a number in our program. And so we really try to think creatively in terms of how we can acknowledge all of the time and effort it takes to do the work that they do to create such engaging and positive learning experiences for our students in an online setting. Because, you know, for those of you who have taught online know how time consuming it really is. So one of the ways that we do that is through small tokens of thanks and appreciation. So I think about a year ago, our academic team came up with the idea of creating, as you see in the slide, it's a postcard, and it's just a small little way for us to say thank you and recognize some of the achievements of our faculty. And we might send this out if a faculty has kind of gone above and beyond to support a student, if they've done a really good job of managing a difficult situation in their class. They might have just achieved a new credential or degree. So a variety of reasons, but we'll just jot a quick note of thanks or recognition and send it on the way. The other thing we did was we purchased to-go travel mugs with our brand on it. And again, we'll send those out as a way of saying thank you for those faculty who have really done a great job. We also have annual faculty awards. So every year we award 4 recipients for distinguished faculty awards, and this takes place during our annual end of the year ceremony. We've developed a streamlined process for students, staff, and faculty to nominate these individuals. So faculty can self-nominate. And then our faculty development committee reviews the nominations and then consults with the academic team to determine the winners for that year. And then each year during our rose ceremony in May, we present the awards, hopefully in person if the individual's able to attend, and we present the certificate and monetary award to those individuals. Another way that we recognize our faculty is through the faculty spotlight in the various newsletters that we send out. So here is just a screenshot of a newsletter that was sent out last spring, highlighting 2 of our faculty members. And we'll have faculty provide a bio. Sometimes they'll do a video. Sometimes they'll talk about their experience in the field and their achievements. But another way for us to highlight all of the great things that they've done, not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom as well. Next slide. Faculty evaluations is another initiative that we started about a year and a half ago. And what we have done is we've created a process for evaluating new faculty members, but also engaging in an annual review process for all returning adjunct faculty. And the reason that we've done this is because we've heard from a lot of faculty in terms of requesting feedback in terms of their performance and wondering what they're doing well, areas that they might need to improve upon, and also just it provides us an opportunity to really connect with our faculty. So the way that we do the faculty evaluations is we start with this rubric. This is just a snip of the rubric. It's a little bit longer than this. It's broken down into 3 sections based on the competencies I had showed earlier in that diagram. But faculty are given this rubric prior to teaching their course. Again, we really want to make sure that the expectations are clear and they know ahead of time how they're going to be assessed. So the process for new faculty, all new faculty are evaluated after the very first session that they teach. So after the course wraps up, the new adjunct would complete the rubric following the adjunct notes column. And then once that self-assessment's complete, they would return that to the program director, who would then go through the course in detail, looking at announcements, the type of feedback that's provided, the level of engagement in the discussion, making sure that they followed policies and so on. And then they would provide the reviewer's note in the right-hand corner. Once the rubric was complete, what we do is we send the completed rubric back to the adjunct, and then we schedule a virtual meeting. So that might be through Zoom or just a phone call. And then we talk through each of the areas on the rubric. Once that's done, it's signed and submitted into HR, and it does become part of the adjunct's permanent file. For returning faculty members, it's a little bit less formal and it doesn't go into their permanent file. What we have returning faculty do on an annual basis is we send them the rubric again, they do the self-assessment, and then we meet virtually to discuss and talk through what's been going well. We often ask for feedback in terms of policies and certainly ask about curriculum thoughts and ideas and areas for improvement on our end as well. So far, I've just finished my first round of evaluations, and the feedback that I've received from my faculty has all been extremely positive, and they have been very grateful for the opportunity to first of all just connect one-on-one, but to really go through and look at their current practices. And I always try to make sure I'm providing recommendations on other ideas that they can implement. I explained to them that I have the privilege of being able to see a variety of faculty and a lot of really great practices taking place. And so I can kind of be that person to share some of those ideas across the board. Next slide. Professional development is another area that we certainly focus on with our faculty. We do offer several in-house trainings. As Jess mentioned, the orientation and onboarding is required for all faculty, and that's something that they go through immediately before they even start their first class. But we also offer some additional trainings. One is what we call the Micro Mastery Series, and this takes a lot of the concepts that we discussed in the onboarding to the next level. And the rationale behind this particular training is it's designed to be a just-in-time training, but to expand upon a lot of the broader concepts that were introduced earlier. So hopefully at this point, when someone's going through this series of trainings, they have the base knowledge, and they are really looking for ways to enhance and take their teaching to the next level. A lot of our trainings are asynchronous, but we do have a variety of assessments embedded within them. This particular training, I think, is one of the most valuable parts of this training is the opportunity for discussion with their peers. And this is where we find that a lot of our faculty will share their own ideas and give each other feedback on how they're approaching certain certain topics or different ways of teaching. The Advanced Teaching Practices and Adaptive Learning, KP, that is our adaptive platform. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have several courses, 25% of our catalog, using the adaptive platform. And so this takes a certain skill set that isn't addressed necessarily in depth in our orientation because it's not in all of our courses. So this course, again, is designed really to get into how to make the most of the adaptive platform, how to use the data analytics to support students and provide the type of support that they need. One of the reasons that we really try to focus on the trainings, whether they're in-house or external, is because we recognize that a lot of adjuncts come to us with really great experience in the field and expertise in their area, but they don't necessarily have the educational training or background in pedagogy and best practice. So we're trying to fill those gaps and bridge their expertise with their teaching practices. And again, we do that in both in-house trainings and external opportunities. Our graduate program recently launched a certificate in online teaching and learning, and this is something I know many of my faculty have taken advantage of. It is a free, free 4-course certificate program that they can enroll in, covering topics such as building community, course design, understanding the online learner and best practices. So again, a lot of the topics that they may not have formal training on previously, but it's one other way that they can improve their practice. Career development support. We have a wonderful career development team, and actually I believe it's next week they are going to be offering a webinar to all of our faculty members on how to manage the job search process during the COVID pandemic. Another topic that they recently did a webinar on was how to write a resume and cover letter, and giving feedback and recommendations on how to draft those to make them stand out. So our career development team also does offer programming for our faculty to support them as well. Next slide. Leadership is another area that we focus on. If you recall the organization chart, we do have a few faculty lead opportunities. So many of those faculty members started off as adjuncts, and over time, through their performance and dedication to the program, have taken on more leadership roles as faculty leads. We also have some faculty who have become mentors for helping onboarding and supporting new faculty. Some of our faculty will stay or opt to work as subject matter experts or contract opportunities in our curriculum design projects. So I know Jess mentioned earlier, we have a team approach to curriculum building, and we do hire external subject matter experts. So some of our faculty who have the skills and interest will work with us and partner to serve as the SME for some of those projects. Another opportunity for leadership, for those of you who are local, may be familiar with our annual Women's Leadership Conference, which usually occurs every March or April. And this is a huge conference in the area, and it really gives women an opportunity to come together, to network, listen to a lot of really great speakers, and just connect. So some of our faculty have been given free tickets to attend this event, and so it's just another way for us to promote their leadership. Next slide, Jess.
I think that's up to me. So currently, one of the things that we have based on the data behind the scenes is a course performance dashboard. And we're hoping to turn this into a faculty dashboard in the future where we collect the LMS metrics. We use Canvas, adaptive learning metrics. The platform we use is called Realize It, and also Salesforce data for enrollment. And this will give us a better visual at the fingertips for especially program directors like Michelle that have 30 people teaching at one time. You'll be able to see who hasn't posted their grades on time, for example, who hasn't been logging in very often throughout the week. We're also interested in a little bit more of the nitty gritty, such as the number of words for written assignment feedback. We want to make sure that our students are receiving adequate feedback and timely feedback. And we do have an accelerated model. So our courses are 6 weeks long, but cover 130 credit hours. So really staying on top of the metrics and the data that we're able to helps us provide additional training, intervention, maybe just a little nudge could help a faculty member get back on track. And the result is always student success. So we want to make sure that students expect their grades to be posted by Wednesday. We try to uphold that by not only demonstrating it, but providing tools to help them keep track of what day their grades are posted and a little reminder if they seem to forget. So we're hoping to roll this out and have everyone that completes the evaluations would have access to this. There is also a question in the chat, thank you, Martina, about the bias in evaluation of teaching. And I think that all of these metrics really help eliminate the bias because it's a little bit more black and white when you're reviewing evaluation information. We also have calibration exercises where all the program directors and myself get together and we model what best practices look like in practice. So we'll pull up an actual class and show what discussion board engagement looks like, or what it looks like to give written assignment feedback. So the ability to share those best practices across the entire institution has been very helpful, but it also makes sure that all of our adjuncts are being evaluated in a similar manner. And we do have a few adjuncts that teach for several different programs. So we want them to have a similar, seamless experience regardless of which program they teach. Good question. Yeah, so that is exactly what I'm trying to avoid is the copy and paste. So the dashboard could show that an instructor responded to every single discussion board and they might look like such a rock star for engagement, but they might just be writing good job over and over or copying and pasting the same exact information. So having a metric that shows the number of words could show perhaps a redundant number over and over again, which would inform copying and pasting feedback that has not been tailored. I think the last section here too, the average grade awarded, is another thing. So not only do we want to support low achieving students, we also take grade inflation very seriously. We want to make sure that our adjuncts aren't giving everyone an A++ for every experience. So looking at the average grade helps us analyze the rigor of our curriculum and also potential training gaps and needs that we might have.
And just to kind of piggyback, Jess, the dashboard really would serve as a snapshot because for some of us with some of the larger programs, it is difficult because it's usually just us who are overseeing the faculty, the courses, and then a variety of other components of our role to kind of alert us if there's a problem. But in terms of evaluations, when it's time for that individual to be evaluated, we will always go through that course from top to bottom to read through the specific type of feedback and to watch and listen to the announcements and lectures. So it's a very time-consuming process, and this dashboard would certainly not replace that process. But this is just really for us to be able to step in and intervene quickly if there's a glaring issue. For example, I had a new faculty who was, I think, confused by the grading process. So that triggered two things. One, I had to step in immediately and look at and make sure that she was getting her grading in on time, but also forced me to reassess what we have in our training to see if something should be changed to make sure that expectation is maybe clearer to all new faculty. So it's really meant just for us on a daily basis to be able to identify the short-term need and then inform maybe areas that we could potentially either improve in our current trainings or look into for future trainings.
Michelle, a question just came in from Shannon. Thank you, Shannon. Did you want to speak about the learning outcome data for assessment at all?
Yes, absolutely. We, yes, our adjuncts, our assessments are built into our learning management system, and actually some of our colleagues will be presenting on that on Friday. But our adjuncts are the ones who complete our program level assessments. And so we currently don't have training. We have training in terms of how to complete the assessment, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily an advanced training, and it's definitely something that we've talked about across the board in terms of the program directors, because we look at inter-rater reliability, and I think we've talked about potentially doing a calibration exercise, or at least talking about the expectations for those assessments as well, because we have seen a lot of discrepancies in the program level assessments.
So that brings us to the end of our presentation. We did want to carve out some time for questions. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat. If you're able to unmute your mic, we could also orally have questions come in. And if you think of anything later, feel free to email either of us. We'd be happy to follow up with you individually. Yes, we use Canvas for our learning management system. Would anyone like to share either their model or their approach or anything unique from their institution? We'd love to learn from you as well. All right, well, thank you all for attending. I hope you had at least one good takeaway from this presentation, and please feel free to reach out if you'd like to collaborate, ask questions, brainstorm, have an extra set of eyes. We're always willing to hop on and chat about the work that we're doing. And Jeff is going to send around the recording. He did mention that in the chat. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.